Hello, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of the Missing Wolves podcast, live stream post-game thing that I'll be doing for the Wolves this season. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz, beat reporter for Zone Coverage, covering the Lynx, Wolves, and Gophers. And there's no other guest I would want here for the debut other than the guy that has had to sit next to me for 2 years at Lynx games, the sneaker reporter. I feel like it should be like the Ohio State. So the sneaker reporter, Travis Singleton. How's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Andrew, thanks for having me on the debut. I appreciate it. And nobody I'd rather sit next to for sure. The last couple years have been really good, man. And I'm truly humbled and I appreciate you.
Hey, I say it pretty regularly. Like, you're one of the mentors that I look to on the beat, and like I wouldn't be doing this with anyone other than the sneaker reporter. But we finally have Wolves news to talk about. Media Day was today, where for fans who don't know, that is where me and Travis sit in very uncomfortable plastic chairs for 4 hours as different players come up, talk for 10 minutes, and leave. I'm just going to leave it as open-ended as possible for you. You know, what was your biggest takeaway from Media Day after hearing all the players, Finch and Tim Conley?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was continuity, right? That was the word of the day, right? Everybody came back and they felt like, they were right back in the mix. Like it was just the Western Conference Finals and now we're rolling into another game. So I think just the fact that the team is able to actually feel like, okay, now we have something where we're rolling into it with the chemistry already built instead of a whole bunch of different pieces that we have to, try to be able to assert ourselves around. I think now just being able to come back with familiar faces and you're adding in the rookies and a couple of people, I think that makes it a lot more easier transition. And I'm looking forward to what we're going to be seeing this year. Obviously, we want to be able to see Ant take that next step. And we want to be able to see what Julius is going to do on that defensive end. There's a lot of promise when it comes to Jaden McDaniel's offensive game. Are we going to see Rob get unlocked now? And there's a lot of things that were talked about today, but biggest thing was continuity. Just being able to come back whole again.
Yeah, it was interesting. Dante was talking up at the mic, and I can't remember who asked him, but they were like, "What's different this year as opposed to last year?" And he kind of laughed and was like, "I was on a flight here this time last year."
Yeah.
And I feel like that almost kind of got lost over the season of just like Dante had to learn people's names. Julius didn't have a training camp. Like this year, they're going to be able to hit the ground running. You mentioned Anthony Edwards, and I mean, you asked him pretty flat out of just what should we be looking for out of him this year? And I believe his answer was something like he can't tell us. But what are your expectations for Anthony Edwards this year? Do you feel like he's going to be in that MVP conversation?
Yeah, my expectations for him is MVP for real. It's just one of those situations where you're looking at the people around you get better, right? You're looking at Shea got better. You're looking at Luca continues to get better. So now it's okay. Ant has to figure out how to unlock that next step in his game, and I think that's hitting the post a lot better. But also he has to do a lot better in transition too, making sure that the defense is on their heels, making sure that he's getting them, in a vulnerable spot where he can set up his teammates a lot easier with his playmaking too. So if he's going to be an MVP, like you said, you got to win games and you got to score a lot. So I think he's going to be able to do that. And I'm looking for Ant to just be able to. I want to be able to see him average about 30 points or more this year. Like I want him to take over games. I don't want him to defer. I know he can, and he does that because he's a good ball player and he likes to play make for his team. But I want to be able to see him take that next step when it's like, okay, you guys have, I've been sharing the ball. It's my turn now, and that's the next step in his game. And I think he'll get to it. So that's what I'm looking for. I just want to be able to see him, like I said, the post, playmaking, and then transition. I don't want to see him walking down the court. I want to see him really putting that defense on their heels for sure.
He was Anton is one of the few people I think that just does not really put a lot of time thinking about like hiding a narrative or something like that. Because someone asked him, how are you going to stay motivated more in these games that don't matter as much? And he's like trying to lead the league in scoring. And it's like, yeah, all right, well, I guess he knows what he has to do.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that stuck out with me for Ant is just, you know, he just never changes. Like he is the same, like tell it how it is, swear at press conferences, make jokes. He says hi to everybody on his way to the podium. Like just he's such a special guy, and I feel like
Mhm.
it's encouraging every year he comes back, and he's not just this like hardened, calloused, you know, got shut down by the media, so now he's not going to open up as much. He's just always this like free loving guy. I mean, you've covered a
Yeah.
lot of players. Have you ever covered
Yeah.
someone like Ant that's just so unauthentic, or I guess it'd be so authentically Ant all the time?
I mean, Russell Westbrook, but I mean, because he'll tell you like it is too. But honestly though, Ant, I think the difference between any player that I've covered in the league and Ant, I think Ant's just gonna continue to be himself. He doesn't care about the fine. He doesn't care about. He's just gonna tell you what it is, and he's true to himself. Just like people say, true to Atlanta. He's true to Atlanta, and he's true to himself. So at the end of the day, what we get is just authenticity, and that's just what it's gonna be with Ant. Like you said, he's just coming in, he's saying, "What's up, y'all? What's going on?" He's talking about Vanderbilt in the way that we know he's going to talk about him. So he's just gonna be real, and that's something that really drew me to wanting to come to Minnesota and actually cover Ant, is because I knew I was gonna get somebody that was just gonna be raw talent, but also at the same time he was just gonna be a real person when it's off the court as well. And even when I talk to him and stuff like that, like what you see is what you get. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
one thing about him though, he really pays attention to details. He knows when you're there for his events. He knows when you're there for different things that he's doing, and he definitely doesn't ever forget those things.
He files it away. I
It's
feel like
filed away
he's
for sure.
if he sees the same people at the same things, he kind of puts that into the back of his mind of like, oh, okay, this is the person that I'll maybe give a better quote to. Because I
Exactly.
also think you can tell who Ant maybe doesn't ride with as much.
Hey, no names,
we
no names.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw out names. I just if you're on YouTube just going through
Yeah,
clip after clip after clip, there's a couple people where you can just kind of tell Ant's like, yeah, I don't really need to give this person anything more than I need to.
yeah,
I think it's natural to go from Ant to kind of the other two guys that are on this team that have been riding with him his entire career. Jaden McDaniels is one. He's signed the exact same years as Ant. Naz Reid this offseason signs to come back. I thought it was pretty funny asking Jaden, if there was ever a doubt, and he's just kind of like, yeah, not really. And then we asked Nas the same question. He was like, yeah, I mean, once the money was right, like it's a no
yeah,
brainer. But those three are going to have huge expectations this year. What do
for
you
sure.
feel like the next step is for Jaden and Nas in particular?
I think the next step for Jaden and Nas is just to continue to grow within their role, right? Like I said earlier, like Jaden has to take that step offensively now. We know defensively what we're gonna get from him, and I think he can be an all defensive team. I think he can be the defensive player of the year if he puts his mind to it. But I think the offensive side, when he's starting to get in the rebound, starting to transition, starting to fast break, being that kind of point forward, I see him being in that role a little bit more, being able to continue to grow his relationship with Rudy on the lob passes. That's what I want from Jaden. I mean, when it comes to Nas, I mean, I just want Nas to get back to just scoring at will and taking advantage of every mismatch, like we saw in the six man of the year, season. If he gets back to that, I think we'll be exactly where we need to be. And it's all about the mental aspect of it, right? When you go into it, like Nas said, hey, I got goals that I want to hit, like I got individual goals, but I got team goals that I want to hit. And he talks
Mm-hmm.
about those, and he was passionate about those too when he was talking about them. So those are goals that he set for himself, that it's like, okay, I want to get back to six man was cool, but I want to get back to, playing the way that I can, because like he said I can start on any other team. So it's more so just making sure we use the best version of Nas in situational basketball when we really need him to step up.
And it's the consistency of it, right? I mean, I feel like so much of Nas's career has been just boom or bust. Like he's either awesome or he's almost playing himself off the court. And this year, I mean, there's going to be another massive opportunity for him. I would assume he's going to be out there any second Julius or Rudy's sitting. Nas is going to be playing, especially with the contract that he has now. Like that's starter level money. You know, it was asked a couple times of just how this team can maintain like a defensive kind of mindset when Rudy's not in the game. Do you feel like Nas has that type of potential to him too, where he can maybe get a little bit better at setting that tone, whether it's physicality or defensive wise?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I think Nas is a really good shot blocker. A lot of people kind of sleep on that. You know, when people come in the paint, he had a stretch last year where it seemed like he was just blocking everything, like every other game. I felt like, so when he puts his mind on, okay, defensively, I'm locking in. I think he can lock in. It's all about buying into the system and buying into the defensive schemes that they worked on this year. I think it's going to be a lot better with Julius and those guys being able to have that full training camp now, where you can kind of lock in and you know exactly the terminology, the communication, the terms, where people can be able to be comfortable in their roles and be able to know they have help behind them instead of, all right, is this guy behind me? You know, so I think overall, I think this training camp is going to be really huge for Minnesota, especially as far as they want to go.
Yeah, and you know, training camp. Julius mentioned it a couple times too that it starts in the summer, and all of these guys that was one of my major takeaways was just no one left. Like it sounded like Mike made a comment that like the day after exit interviews, he just showed up and was putting in work again. So I think this is going to be a really fun season for the Wolves. I am going to throw us over to a quick ad break here though, and then when we come back, I want to get your like favorite moments from Media Day because I feel like there's some players we haven't talked about. But first, we got to get paid. So ads.
Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com.
So I'll just start. Before we get into it, I do want to say if there are fans in here that want to ask questions, want anything like that, feel free. This is a fan interactive show. We'll throw them on the bottom of your screen like Godfrey's here, who is a little bit more disappointing. The Minnesota sports landscape is a bleak, barren morass of hopelessness. Feels that way quite a bit. Travis is from New England, where they win a championship every other year. But for us here in the bitter, cold Minnesota tundra, we don't, it feels pretty bleak at times, but I'll lead off by saying, I think my favorite moment was Jalen Clark. I believe it went into talking about why Minnesota needs to play and have defense as their identity. And he said something to the effect of like, no one wants to be here in the winter. So like, we might as well make it as long and miserable as possible. Which, like, as somebody who has grown up and lives in Minnesota, has lived here my whole life, I also don't want to be here in the winter. So, like, if I was just going about my day job and Jalen Clark was like pushing me in the back and stepping on my feet, I would probably get pretty irritated, and I think he would get under my skin. So, shout out Jalen Clark. What was your maybe like most fun favorite takeaway from today, though?
I thought Jalen Clark was like, top notch, top tier interview for sure. I mean, he even brought up how he's watching Pat Surtain from the Broncos play defense, and how cornerbacks he approaches his tape in game film by watching CBs and stuff in the NFL. So I thought that was cool. Another one that was pretty cool to me was you definitely got to go with with Ant, of course. When he's just talking about well, yeah, China was great. Some guy made me a mask, and yeah, I'm gonna wear it in Portland. So so he's gonna be wearing a mask with his sneakers apparently for the Portland game. So get ready for that. What was another good take on there was definitely some moments. I think the biggest thing for me was just the fact that, like you said, the togetherness, right? They were all here all summer. I think that was the biggest thing that I took away from it, was because of the fact that like they were all here, like seemed like everybody was locked in. Except Joe said he just got here yesterday, but I mean, but Joe Angles was another one. He was hilarious too. He was hilarious. As soon as he walked in, he was just like, "Yep, this is the last interview of the year." So that was pretty good too. So I mean, there was countless times for sure.
Another one that stood out to me, and as somebody that grew up watching basketball in the late 90s, early 2000s, is like when I was young and watching basketball. Not young, like in my preteen years, like Mike having the existential crisis of like, yo, I'm a true point guard. Like, you gotta give me the ball. I will pass it. I'm not going to look to score. I just need to dribble it up the court and like get in a rhythm of the game. I thought was like really charming, because it was just like, oh, buddy, that's not how your position's played anymore.
Hey,
so it was like the last grasp of like, just let me be a true point guard for 1 year, and then you can do whatever you want.
Pretty much, yeah. And I thought it was funny at the end when when I think it was Jace asked him, he's like, "Hey, you gain any weight? You get stronger?" He's like, "Look at me, dog. Look at me. I've been in the weight room."
It was really like fun to see. You can tell. I feel like with the Lynx, you saw it a lot this year, of just like how good of friends they are, like off the court.
Yeah.
You can just kind of tell with this Wolves team too. Maybe they're not the same friends where they're all sharing an apartment building because of like the housing stuff, but like you can just kind of tell that like Julius does probably really appreciate Mike and Jaden and some of the other guys on this team. Multiple people were bringing up Rudy and kind of his leadership, especially like getting their bodies right. I think, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, but just, you mentioned it right off the bat of just continuity. Is this a team that like that continuity just could raise the floor of this team to where we're talking about a third Western Conference Finals? Or do you feel like they're kind of a little bit behind the OKCs, Denver, Houston? Van Fleet went down injured, but I guess they're still probably up there too.
Yeah, I mean, I see this team. I mean, it's all about gelling with chemistry and rhythm at the right time, right? So I see this team getting back to the playoffs, and it's all about how they're playing when they get to the playoffs. They have the experience now. It's more so, what do we have to do to get over that hump? And I think it's all about, making sure the ball handling is on point, right? You want to make sure you're not turning the ball over. Look at the OKC series, too many turnovers. So it's just all about making sure that you secure the ball and be able to defend at a high level. So I can see them getting, probably, honestly, I have them in the top 4 seed. I don't know where it's going to shuffle at. But I do see them as a top 4 seed. And I think they can really make some noise. I think the biggest thing for me was hearing from Ant that he's like, I realized that leadership starts with me, but it also starts in the off season. When he was talking about the different camps, he's like, man, I didn't know you had a camp. So it's like they got to continue to keep growing. And I think that him noticing that and realizing it, that's a huge sign for the growth of this team. Because I feel like last year, remember, he was like, man, we get mad at each other. We don't even talk to each other. Remember?
Yeah.
So now going into this season, you already have that familiarity now. So now when you go into it, you're like, hey, Julius, I need you to do this. Now you're talking, you're communicating, because you already have that experience and you've grown together. So that's what I'm ready to see.
It really is just the off season sets it so far apart from like last year, because it's just looking back, that was so crazy that like Cat is just gone. Julius is here not practicing with the shoulder. Dante's like figuring out where his kid's going to go to preschool. Like,
Yeah.
It's just wild looking back on it. You know,
Yeah.
Another thing that to me sets up good for like a postseason run is they talked a lot about just getting out and transition more and getting easy baskets that way. Jaden in particular talked about how it's like, you know, if I'm out in transition, I get to play one-on-one. It seems like this level of like self-awareness with this team is pretty good too. What do you feel like though is the biggest thing that they could change from last season to this season? I know you mentioned the ball handling. Do you feel like that was the biggest issue they had last year?
I think so, because there was a lot of turnovers and bad mistakes at the wrong time. It's all about the development of Rob too, right? Like, he has to continue to be a true professional. He's learning from Mike. He's learning from Bones. Both of them talked about their relationship with him. I think the next step is getting him to build that confidence up where he can get some minutes and get in there, because when Rob gets in there, he makes plays happen. He makes it happen, but he also had a lot of turnovers. So you can't get on the court if you got those turnovers going. So I think if they get him to the point that he's playing really well and he's not turning the ball over and he's defending like Chris Finch said he is, I think that's the next step, because he's supposed to be grabbing that baton when Mike's done. So I think it's all about the process of getting that started. And once they do that, I think they'll be fine. But overall, I think it's the transition. You got to work on that. You got to work on defending when Rudy's off the court. That's a big one.
Yep.
And then you got to make sure that, like I said, the turnovers gotta get limited for sure. Because I mean, obviously you're gonna have turnovers. We get that, but you can't be having games with 30+ turnovers. That's a problem.
And like you said, the timing of the turnovers. It seemed like in clutch time, they were just either bad turnovers or bad shots almost every time they got into those situations. And that's like almost like a chicken or the egg thing. Like, is it because they're young, or is it because they're just, the schemes aren't? I hesitate to like already start throwing Chris Finch under the bus, because I happen to really like Chris Finch. But like, I think we'll get a clearer picture of that. Another kind of theme of today was just, a lot of young guys on this team that are going to have opportunities. Johan is one of them, obviously. Rudy spoke very highly of him. Ant spoke kind of briefly pretty highly of him. You have Rob, who you mentioned. TJ's here. Jalen, as we mentioned. Out of kind of those four guys, because I think those are probably the four that have the best shot of like really taking off. Who do you think is going to be the one to kind of break through and fill that Nikhil role, or fill that kind of eighth player role?
If I was a betting man, I think it would, and I just love what he brought to the table last year. I think it's gonna be Jalen Clark. If I'm being honest, I just think that defensively he does enough to stay on the floor. He does the hustle plays. He's defending the best team, the best player on the other team. And he made an impact. He made an impact last year, especially on me. From what I saw, anytime he had a knockdown shot, he made it. It seemed like, obviously he's not 100%, but it looked like every time I was watching,
he's no Diamond Miller out there hitting threes.
Yeah. So, but it was just one of those situations where I think that he's gonna step up in that role. Obviously, I think it's between him and TJ, if I'm being honest. But I just think that Jalen plays lockdown defense to the point that I think that's what Chris Finch will probably really need when it comes down to it. But overall, I want to see all four of those guys flourish. And that's truly what we need to see. And for me, I don't judge the Timberwolves off the first 5 games like fans do and all that. I judge after the 20th game. After 20 games, I know what we're doing, what the scheme is, what this team is going to look like, who's trying to step up, who's not trying to step up, who's stuck in silly putty, still trying to figure out what their role is. Like, you find that identity real quick after 20 games. So I think it'll be Jalen Clark, though. What about you?
I want it to be Rob. And that's not just because like I genuinely like Rob as a person. I also really like Jalen Clark. I got to do a charity thing with him and his mom this summer, and like he's just a brilliant, awesome young human being. Like that guy could run for senator if he's not playing basketball. Like he's just a really good kid. I agree with you though. Even though I want it to be Rob, I think it'll be Jalen. He just doesn't make mistakes. He's almost always in the right spot on defense. He's almost always in the right spot on offense. He cuts, he spaces the floor right. And I think if you're Chris Finch and, you're looking at what guy is going to win you a game maybe, or more importantly, not lose you a game, Jalen's probably the safer bet.
Yeah.
Now, I will say I completely agree with you. Like the first 5 or 10 games of the year, I probably will throw out too. I generally don't really start hitting a panic button or anything until like January 1 is kind of my, like, that's when the world starts paying attention to the NBA, like after Christmas. So I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it because I do think you're going to see a lot of like 20-minute Rob games where maybe he doesn't have it, maybe he is. There's going to be nights where TJ's playing a ton of minutes. There's going to be nights where Jalen is. I wouldn't be surprised if they do give Johan some run at the beginning of the season. And when you're playing like young players, like there's a reason why like Brooklyn loses a lot of games. It's not because they don't have a ton of talent. It's because they have a lot of talent that is young. And they just can't put it together yet. But I would agree with you. I think Jalen's going to be the guy that when it comes playoff time, we're probably looking at him as that 8th player. Now, 1 through 7, obviously not as many question marks about. And I mean, starting lineup of Mike, Ant, Jaden, Julius, and Rudy, that's kind of locked in. 6th man, Nas, Dante is probably 7th coming off the bench. Excluding Ant, because I think we're all thinking he's going to take another leap. And thus far in his career, he has always taken that leap. So I don't want to like just give you the easy answer. But out of those next, from Mike all the way down to Dante, out of those 6, who do you feel like has the most to prove this season?
You said out of those 6, who has the most what?
Who has the most to prove this season?
The most to prove.
I didn't want to give you an easy one and say who's going to make the biggest impact or something. Most
to prove. I mean, I don't really feel like he has the most to prove, but I think out of those players that are left, I think Dante's the one that really is I think Dante's the guy for me who I'm looking at. And, obviously he said he's 110% healthy now. I'm looking at him to come in here and start splashing threes all over the place and being that secondary ball handler that they really need. I don't think he has anything to prove. I mean, he's a champion already. But I think it's just more so just trying to figure out what exactly we're going to see with him in that transition when things open up now. So that's what I'm more so. If anybody had anything to prove to me, I'd probably go Rudy. I mean, if I have to have somebody that has to prove something to me, I just want to be able to. I just want to be able to see what Rudy did. He was working out with Lethal Shooter during the offseason as well. I was trying to bring it up, but they said, "Hey, no more." I wanted to bring it up, but they didn't let me. So I want to see what he was doing with Lethal Shooter, and I want to see what what came of those workouts, and be able to. I really feel like Rudy could be a 15 and 12 guy every night, and that's my goal for him. That's my goal for him. So, what about you?
I think that's a fair goal for Rudy. Like, he is a multi-time defensive player of the year, all-star caliber player. Like, he should be able to get those numbers. I mean, especially as a lob threat. I know they're going to hopefully look for him more in that like short role as a lob. I mean, for me, players that have something to prove, I didn't think you were going to go with Dante. I should have thought better about that because you New Englanders. He's a New Englander, right? From Delaware. Do you guys adopt Delaware?
We don't adopt Delaware.
We don't talk about Delaware.
Delaware is more so tri-state. Like, that's New York, Pennsylvania. Okay. I'll still claim him though. If he's hitting threes, he's gonna be a New Englander. So we're good. We're good.
I just think that guy is too good of a player to not perform. And
for sure,
like, he needs to hit 40% from 3 for this team to be truly effective. I think he's going to need to take on some ball handling roles, especially if Rob doesn't grab it. And I think he's, this is the difference between not at the end of this season, but at the end of next season when his contract is come due. I mean, this is where that groundwork gets laid of if you're going to be a $25 million player on your last deal, or if you're going to be that mid-level exemption again. So
yeah,
for me, he's the one. I got one more question for you. And this one's a little bit more easier, but just, on this team, who do you think is going to take the biggest leap? You can say Ant, you can say whoever you think, who do you think it is? And what do you think that leap will look like?
That's a good question. I think it'll be Jaden.
Yeah.
I think Jaden will offensively. I think his bag will open up offensively, right? I think we'll see more of him with the ball in transition. I think we'll see a lot more of Jaden getting to a lot more slashing. I think getting those easy buckets, getting those. He's good in the mid range already. Corner threes, he's amazing. I think he just has to focus on getting the easier buckets when it comes to offensive boards and just crashing and making sure that he gets those easy buckets. If you think about it, the energy that he spends on that offensive side, just cutting and slashing and trying to move, the movement he makes, that those cuts and they can easily give him about 8 points per game on top of what he's already doing. And he did his thing in the playoffs too. He showed up in the playoffs, so I want to see a lot more of that. Defensively, I already know what I'm gonna get from him. I believe in him defensively. I think he can defend 1 through 5. So it's just more so just seeing that offensive game, seeing an uptick in his points per game this year, and being able to get more shot selection too. I think if he gets that opportunity, I think that we could see a big jump from Jaden. I think he's the only one that really needs to make a big jump personally. Ant's already he's gonna take that next leap. We get that. Julius, we know what we're getting out of Julius. Triple double threat. When it comes to Nas, we know Nas is a scoring machine. Want to see him defend a little better. With Rob, I would love Rob to take that leap. It's just more so on what happens in the games and what game is going to be the right game. Last year he came into that Celtics game, beat up my Celtics, and really put on a show. But it's all about matchups with Rob. So can we see that at a consistent rate? That's what I kind of want to see. But as far as one player, it'd be Jaden for me. Who do you think?
Again, this is why we sit next to each other for over 9 months of the year.
The same answers? Oh my goodness.
It's Jaden for me too. I'm pretty bullish on Jaden. I think he could be an all-star. I really think he could be a 20-point a game, 6-7 rebounds, 3-4 assists, couple steals, block a game, like an all-star caliber player. And it's so easy to look at it and be like, oh, he's in his 6th season. The guy's still 24 years old. Like he's still young. 5 years ago, or not 5 years, 20 years ago, people were getting drafted at age 24. TJ's 24. Like I think there is a realistic chance that Jaden is all-star caliber. I think if I was to say another one, just like who could make a leap that I think would be poised to. I don't think there's like a non-0% chance that Terrence Shannon is just really good. I don't know how they would get him, a ton of minutes, because I think if Terrence Shannon is getting a ton of minutes, that means someone's hurt. Dante isn't performing. I don't know how you'd squeeze him in the starting lineup if he was that good. But I do think there's a chance where he's getting 18 minutes a night and scoring like 12 points, and he is just this bully off the bench because he has that edge to him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think TJ he has a different gear to him, right? They say he runs a 4.3. I mean, I didn't even know that. So, I mean, the fact that he's running that fast, I mean, in transition, we need to get that ball to him right away. So I want to see him be able to take that leap. And I know when he had the ball in Illinois, he definitely was getting down the court. He was facilitating, he was making easy buckets for himself. He was making the game easier. So I think once he gets more opportunity, he'll make it easier. I just want to see him defensively show me something. And that will kind of give him the edge over Jalen. But I just feel like Jalen, like you said, he makes the smart plays without making mistakes. And I think when you don't make mistakes, you stay on the court.
Especially for Chris Finch. I mean, we have a big enough track record with him now where, like, I honestly worry for his health on those 30 turnover games because he looks like he's going to have a medical incident on the sideline.
Yeah.
But that's Travis. That's media day in a nutshell. I believe they have training camp all week, so there'll be a ton
Yeah.
more Wolves stuff to talk about.
Yep.
Last question for me: Is Tatum coming back?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Is he coming back this year?
Yeah. From everybody I talked to at home, he's coming back.
Insane. Tatum and
Yeah.
Brown. He's going to come back just in time for playoffs and just run ruckshot through a really bad.
It's gonna remind me of, remember when Paul George broke his leg, or yeah. So when he had the horrific injury, remember when he came back at the end of the year for the Pacers and he played like their last 14 games or something, and they just like eased him in. I think that's what the Celtics will probably do with JT. And then if they make a playoff push, then I mean at that point just let him loose. But the only thing I'm worried about, I just don't want him to overexert himself and then get hurt again, because we saw that happen with Klay Thompson a couple years ago when he was ramping up workouts and then he re-injured his ACL. So you don't want to run into that type of situation. But I think Tatum's coming back, man. I'm excited about the Celtics season. This is one of those seasons where I call a hump season, where it's just I don't think they're gonna do anything crazy, but I think what they did was, getting rid of Porzingis and Drew Holiday, that freed up a lot of money. That's going to make them some serious contenders when it comes to free agency next season, though. So I'm looking forward to that.
They did this year what the Wolves did last year. Just kind of like reset their books.
Yep.
Next year is probably the year for them. But, I mean, if Tatum comes back and is Tatum, that team is still going to suck to play in the postseason because Tatum and Brown and White are ridiculous. All right, Travis, I appreciate you coming on. I do want to give you the opportunity. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to shout out, anything you got coming out on sneakerreporter.com.
Yeah, just gonna be having a lot more stories, a lot more nightly stuff going on sneakerreporter.com, even on all the socials. So we're gonna have a lot more segments as well. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm gonna have a lot of content throughout the whole year covering the Wolves, covering anything NBA, honestly, and just trying to make sure that we cover all bases. But Andrew, thank you for having me on here, man. Great debut. You've been a great host. Continue doing what you're doing. And definitely appreciate you for having me on, bro.
Hey, and we appreciate the 280 people that have swung through here today during dinner time. So I hope no one got in trouble with their significant others watching a Wolves live stream on YouTube. But appreciate you, Travis. We'll be back later on this week. Next guest is going to be Chris Hine from the Star Trib. So we're trying to get the whole band together to start this thing off. So appreciate everyone. Appreciate you, Travis. And until next time. Go Wolves. Do we say go Wolves?
Go Wolves. Go Wolves. Go Wolves. Go Lynx and Wolves. Both.